Hello, everyone, and welcome to this second episode of Empower Her series, where we delve into important discussions which are around women empowerment. I'm your host, Faiza, and today we are honored to have a distinguished guest, Frank J. Marchini, with us, and he is an exceptional leader when it comes to education and consulting, and he is an education consultant and leader in accrediting schools and educational institutions in Canada and the USA. He is the founder of Canadian Teachers Consultant, and he has been a driving force for last 4 decades when it comes to establishing schools, fostering international collaborations, and supporting educational institutions that empower communities. And with 40 years of public school service and a remarkable post retirement career in consulting and founding Educational Institute, Frank services exemplify how education can transform and serve as a tool for empowering the communities. So we would like to welcome Frank J. Markini. Thank you so much, Frank, for joining us and for taking time out for this series. And we are really honored to have you. And I'm sure with your insights, we are really going to learn a lot. So before that, we are going to start. I just wanted to know that, starting from a public school educator to the journey of, till founder of Canadian Teachers Consultant and establishing and founding and accrediting multiple schools across US and Canada. So can you just walk us through your journey?
Absolutely. Firstly, thank you very much, Fiza, and welcome everyone abroad. I'm glad to be here, and I hope I can give some insight. And it's really going to be based on my experiences. A little bit of statistics here and there, but it's very brief, mostly my experience. So, my story. I started, let me start when I was born, 1952. That gives you just some idea of
Yeah.
how old I am. Um, I started it when I skipped the other years. I was an individual that was torn in university. And I think this is important because this is something for everyone, including women, because this is the direction we're going to take. I was torn between what to do, and as I was growing up, and I ended up in university thinking I'm going to be a businessman. So I started in business. And then after my first year, I thought, no, this is not working for me. However, when I was in high school, I always had teaching in mind, in the back of my mind.
Okay.
So then I went to business, left the business side of it, and I went into political science, thinking, I'm going to be a politician. uh, After finishing the degree, I thought, no, this doesn't work for me. The heart started to talk, and it told me, you wanted education, you do enjoy education, go for it. So then I picked up my Bachelor of Education and started my career. 32 years of it in the public system. Enjoyed every minute of it. About 20 years of that, I did some teaching my first 4 years or so, and then I ended up in guidance and became a department head, actually a very young man as department head of guidance and student services. So I worked very closely with administration. Within 5 years, because that's what it is needed of experience, I picked up my principal's papers thinking I was going to climb up the ladder. Loved my job so much. In that position, I was able to work with students, parents, administration, teachers. Oh, I had it all. And I stayed there for that many years. At retirement in 2011, I couldn't see myself just doing nothing. So I opened up Canadian Teacher Consultants and meeting up with some international people, opened up my first school in 2011 as an international private school. And my goal was to stay there to get them off the ground and then move on to other ventures and projects, which I did, and opened up three other schools and did consulting for many others. several others. And then at COVID time, which is interesting, obviously the international students weren't coming. So work was a little bit sparse, and I thought, let me change the dynamics of this whole thing.
Mm.
Went into partnerships. I thought, I don't want to recruit by cherry picking a student here and there. I want to get units, educational institutions matching up with the Canadian ones. So I looked at secondary schools, universities, colleges, and that's what I tend to do now. That's in a nutshell what we do. We represent Yorkville University here in Toronto, International Business University in Toronto, College of the Canyons in United States, California. Uh,
Right.
and a bunch of secondary schools. And actually, I've got something really great for teachers out there.
Oh,
I'm partnered with a company called Teacher Aid. Now, Teacher Aid
okay.
is a lesson. They do lesson plans and unit plans, prepare them for teachers. Could be abroad. They'll actually convert to the curriculum that matches the ones, for example, in Pakistan. And a teacher can very easily, well, you have to purchase it, I guess, but it's not too expensive. And
Okay.
you can just build their lesson plan by clicking, and
Okay.
everything comes up, and resources and everything will come up, and you can just plunk it into their lesson plan. And then they're off and running to the races in a very brief time rather than spending a lot of time on a lesson plan and unit plans. Anyway, that's it. And then that's Sean. That's quite a bit.
That's really inspiring, and I really loved the bit when you said that your heart said something to you. No, you have to go for this. And when it comes to education, so being in education, I also believe that we should not opt for education by default. Rather, it should be by choice, the way you did. And now there's this phenomenal and inspiring journey that you have shared with us, and now motivating and empowering others. So you've just mentioned about this, I guess, platform Teacher A. If you can just share the complete link so that the teachers or the educators who are going to access this episode, they can also go for it, because lesson planning is the heart of teaching and learning. And the more it is going to be convenient, the more it will be helpful for the teachers as well.
I'm glad you brought that up as being, the front stage in terms of teaching. Teacher Aid, I don't have their website available
Okay,
for.
it's like Teacher A alphabet.
Yeah, it's teacher and
Okay.
then aid, all one
Okay.
word. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
sorry. My mistake. Please,
No
my
problem.
apologies. It's Teach Aid. So
Teach A.
TEACAID. Teach Aid.
Okay.
And that should be .com. Now I represent them, so if anybody really wants, you can go onto my website, send me a
Okay.
message, or you can actually message me. Do I leave my message address if anybody wants it?
So what I can do is that, Frank, just for the audience, if you can share your website, and further we will also add it into the comment section. But if you can just share it here, the
Okay.
website for the viewers, so that they can like contact you if there's any kind of
Yes.
feedback.
So it's www.canadian
Okay.
teacher. That's one. It's
Teacher
all one word. Canadian Teacher Consultants. So it's
consultant.
singular teacher and plural consultants. So Canadian Teacher Consultants .com.
.com. So
Yeah,
it's like www.canadianteachersconsultants.com. So all the
that's,
educators.
that's singular though. www.Canadian Teacher
Teacher,
Consultant.
okay, not teachers, right.
Consultant.
Thank you, Frank. So, in case of the teachers and the educators, if you wish to connect to Frank to get, the advice or get the kind of learning that we're just talking about, may it be the teacher or other platforms, because there are extensive platforms being available. So, you can reach out to him on www.canadianteacherconsultants.com. So, thank you so much, Frank. It will be really useful. And so, Frank, talking about, because you have worked extensively with the global market and with this kind of international exposure, how do you see international education, particularly through partnerships with school, colleges, and universities, as a tool for empowering women across the globe?
You know, there's such a difference, I think, of in philosophy um, from nation to nation.
Yeah,
And
true.
and when I mentioned the fact that during COVID, I was thinking about how do I, bring not only educational theories and pedagogy and all that sort of thing, including students, which would be part of the recruitment,
Yeah.
to Canada and vice versa, Canada to the rest of the world. And then I came across, uh, um, I guess, a theory that was started back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and it
Okay.
was called internationalization, which I'm sure everyone is aware of it. And I thought, geez, this is exactly what I'm thinking of. And that's when I started trying, which I have some schools, as you noticed, that I represent, and I try to connect them with other universities or colleges or secondary schools abroad. Reason being, there are definitely the benefits there, and this
Hmm.
can this dovetails onto the topic that we're looking at as well. It's a
Okay.
global thing, so
Yeah.
women are definitely part of it. Um, it's a again, it's bringing in the globe. It's getting so small, making it even smaller.
Hmm.
Um, there's an enrichment of educational experiences out there, whether it's from Pakistan, Germany, United States, Canada, whatever, China. Sharing that is unique and important. Uh,
Hmm.
in Canada, we're supposedly regarded as a high level uh, country offering, a wealth of education.
Yeah.
So is the United States, Australia, Britain. But we cannot forget the rest of the world. There are
Yes.
concepts and philosophies from that end that are extremely important that we don't know or we don't use. So the
True.
exchanges are I think, of paramount importance. Um, bordering, where is it? Yes, broadening school communications abroad uh, brings in the experience of culture, which
Hmm.
is needed. Canada, as I guess as most people know, welcome uh, international people on a consistent basis now. It's
Hmm.
changed the past year or so because of the influx of immigrants, especially students, and we weren't prepared for that as a country. So, for example, and I think this is news everywhere, so it's not something you don't know. There was there was some private schools, colleges, and even our public system where,
Hmm.
because of the need for money to sustain themselves, they were bringing in any kind of student. Well, first of all, some were fraudulent, that was discovered. Others were, obviously, majority were good students. And what happened was the schools didn't have the space for them. Go figure. And
Okay.
a lot of students were left with ball in hand and nothing else. And so the federal government got involved and decided to cap. But I don't know. I don't think that's going to be a long term. It's just getting rid of being a solution for this problem that they have. Um, so if we can't bring in people, then we have to go out either through virtually like we do right now and learn ourselves.
Hmm.
We have to learn about
True.
different cultures, what they have to offer.
True.
Um, Possible faculty exchanges, or whether I know there's an American school that is hooked up with a Chinese university. They're both universities. One, I think it was York, not Yorkville. It was DeVille University in the United States.
Okay.
And this organization, this university in the United States or in China, uh, or India, sorry, India, they podcast
Okay.
videos and for staff development and the exchange and vice versa, which is a
Okay.
phenomenal way.
Hmm.
Now remember that this whole thing that I'm talking about, this methodology, really encompasses everybody, and that's including women, because the women, I'll get into that a little bit later, but just to finish this off,
Sure. Sure.
then it's also an enhancement of student connections. So students do the connecting and
Hmm.
making friendships abroad virtually, using our modern day technology. Um, and then potential student exchanges, as well as recruitment. So that's the general points that I focus on,
Okay.
and I'm going to let you bring me to the next level, which I will probably include some of this.
Yes, exactly. No, thank you so much, Frank. It's very well said. You just said that you mentioned about teacher development virtual exercise that has been going on between that US university in collaboration with the Chinese, and you said that they were exchanging kind of videos, if I'm not wrong, on which the teachers are trying to learn from each other. Is this what is going on in that university? Because why I'm asking this question, then the institutions that we have over here in Pakistan, may it be public and private sector, so we can also try to create opportunities for the teachers over there to have this virtual teacher, professional teacher development, while those universities by having collaboration and partnerships. So what I have gained from what you have just said is that the more we are going to actually reach out in terms of our particular, for example, if I'm an earliest teacher or I am a primaryest teacher, I wish to collaborate more with earliest teacher worldwide, so how they are actually implementing their strategies for the little learners. So when it comes to particularly for the classroom based strategies, the teaching and learning, the real hardcore teaching and learning process, do you think that these international collaborations via these virtual platform will help the teachers? Because now after COVID we can see a massive shift of going from on site to online for the educators. So how this is, how this will help actually our women over here who are in the education sector to be like feeling more empowered, if they are being trained by someone sitting, for example, 1,000 miles away, and they have more exposure and more experience, they will be feeling confident once they have been trained by them. So what do you say about this thing? Is it going to be helpful, or is there anything else? Is there any other strategy that can be used?
I think you kind of split this in two different modules, into two different modules, and that is, let's talk a bit about the online process.
Okay.
I've been an advocate of sorry, if I go back into history, I go far back. So when I was in guidance, I was an advocate of, in that time, it was paper, mail, back and forth correspondence courses.
Okay.
And I used to bring them in for some of our students that were, they would be the special education student that
Okay.
that wasn't able to fully succeed in a classroom setting, a large classroom setting. So they would have smaller classes. And I would hook some of these kids up that I thought had the potential. And the way it would work, of course, is independently with a teacher in the classroom. And so we created these type of classrooms, and so as time evolved, it became online, and so
Okay.
it became sort of philosophy, and it has become so readily available that in Canada there are a lot of schools, and actually most schools, whether they're private or public, offer online credit courses, as they do internationally all over the place. So if people, young women, just let's say the general population, um, if you're looking to come to Canada or United States, you may want to start early with credit
Okay.
courses, even if they're ESLs or even regular core courses, and build up as you go along. You might be able to collect enough English courses, for example, if you move from ESL, if you need it. In Pakistan and in India and those places, you probably don't even need it. So you do your courses English, grade 9, English, grade 10, even
Okay.
if you complete your 11, and then you decide that you want to come to Canada to finish some of the high school courses. By the time you complete in grade 12, or you do your last year, you come for grade 12, because you've got those English courses, that possibly, and it's not a rubber stamp deal, but it gives you a heck of a lot of leverage that you might be able to get into the university without your IELTS or any
Okay.
comparable ESL testing. So there's an advantage that way. And then you're collecting your credits beforehand as well. We do equate if a student comes across the pond and comes to one of our schools as a principal in the past. I would take that student's documentation and transcripts. I'd give them as many equivalencies as I possibly can. Usually it's one to one for, unless they're really bizarre. One matches to the other, and I grant the credit, and then they pick up from there.
Okay.
For universities and for those that women, for example, it's I think a great way to set, and this is everybody again, but let's take the women because this is what we're focusing. It's a great way to create connections, and
Okay.
with a connection, like you and I right now, or anybody out there that's listening, with that connection, uh, whether it's women or not, you get to know the culture. You get to ask questions about the culture. How do we? How do you? How do I get? And that is. And so I find that that's why I guess I'm focused on this internationalization, because, as I said earlier, the world is getting smaller,
Yeah. True.
and we have to learn how everybody does things, uh, and whatever you have to offer is good, and it's probably something that I don't know about. So together we can make it better, uh, and then you get to learn about things that you don't think about, scholarships, and I'll dovetail that one to women, because that's one of the biggest things uh, that I focus on. Everybody in different parts of the world are not uh, financially stable, not stable, but financially um, privy to other things that are available. The scholarships are all over, and I didn't know of some of these. I'll get to that a little bit later. But the online and the collaborations, I think, are extremely important. That is the foundation, in my opinion, because when that happens and it builds up, if it builds up to a high level of strength
Yeah.
internationally, and everybody's connected, that's your foundation, and that will build and grow, and everybody benefits. That's my opinion.
Great, great. Great. Well, I agree with you 101% when you're saying that, it's not about being like sitting in isolation or being into a solo culture. So it's more about silo culture. So it's more about collaborative approach nowadays for teaching and learning or for anything. It
Yeah.
goes for the educators as well. It goes for the learner as well, because gone are the days when you're sitting in a silo culture and you're good to go. Now it's just as you've said, the world is like a global village right now. That's
Yeah.
why there's this, there are these subjects of global perspective and then diversity and whatnot. So yes, it's internationalization, which you have like realized back, I guess, in 1990s, you have said, and then you
Well, no,
started working.
no, I actually picked up on it. That philosophy and that theory was back in those days. But I
Okay.
picked up on it during COVID times because
Oh,
uh,
okay.
our schools were international schools, private international schools were
Yeah.
diminishing because of lack of student recruitment. But and now they've come back; they're all doing well. Uh, but then I didn't want to give up on anything, so I started looking into that. That was an idea that I had, but I found this, and they were ahead of me. So that's how that came about.
Great, great. Frank, thank you so much for sharing your insight and the perspective, because you have like more than 4 decades of experience, wealth of experience and knowledge at your side. And I'm sure that the educators are going to get benefit out of it. And we'll be sharing the details of the website, the setup that you have with the educators, so that they can also reach out to you. And I would really want to emphasize on the thing that you have already said, that when it comes to internationalization, it's much better for the students and even for the teachers to start early as much as they can, as you have already mentioned. So, and you've also emphasized on being more into this collaborative culture, and then reaching out by these different language that you have said, starting from English, and then they can go on to step 2, step 3. So thank you so much for joining us, and for the audience as well, on this insightful journey. And will definitely forward the information regarding Canadian teachers consultants to different educators as well, because the teachers who are unable to join us today, we will be sharing the link with them, so that they can have an access to you. And apart from that, I just want to kind of encourage and motivate the teachers by extending what you have already said, that if you have the will to do something, trust me, the world is already a global village. Technology is there. You just need to leverage the right technology to get to the place where you want to be. It is going to be a process, so just trust the process. And thank you, Frank, once again for spending time for us. And we hope that today this conversation inspires the educators who are there with us as much as it did for us. So until next time, keep collaborating, keep empowering, and keep motivating. And thank you so much, everyone. And once again, Frank, we really want to thank you. Why? Because there was this kind of, I was receiving different requests from the educators to have an education onboard through which we can actually get guidance regarding professional development platforms. And here you are with us. And so we will be back with another episode in coming week. And till then, take care and see you soon. But before that, the last thing, Frank, if we just want to wind up the episode, just a short advice that you want to give to the educators within these last 60 seconds.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually, if I could just say a couple of things that I just want to wrap up with, um,
sure.
and that is what I mentioned earlier about scholarships that you'll find abroad. Um, just a little sip. By the way, Malala, I'm sure you know her, the young girl that was shot, and she was the advocate, women's activist. If you
Wow, great.
from
Great.
Pakistan, anyhow,
Okay.
she's an inspiration. We know about her, and she's still out there doing wonderful things. But like, we don't have the time to go through this, but I've got so many stories for you about
We
all.
can have an episode for this.
Yeah,
problem.
for women and so
Great.
forth. I think I'm very happy and glad. Just as a wrap up, what you're doing is wonderful, and I love the empowering of women. From my end, I've always been behind uh, young ladies that are coming up in this world and seeking a way to be part of the system where it's in the past, at least the Western world has changed a bit. I know that other worlds are starting to come to come aboard. That males are not just the only people that can manage and run the world. That women can do it just as well. And I'm proud of you all, and keep inspiring. I thank you very much for having me. Hopefully, I left you some worthy points.
Yeah. It was really truly insightful, and thank you so much, Frank, once again for your time. Thank you, everyone. See you soon with another episode.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you.